Elsewhere in the SEC, Ari, we got to talk Tennessee. You have these stories that come out in the offseason, sort of bubble up through the message boards, and sometimes they never escape the message boards. But this one reached escape velocity, I would say, over the weekend. The Boo Carter situation. Boo Carter, sophomore DB at Tennessee, had a very good freshman year. They're expecting big things from him this year. That there was, they wanted to use him both ways. There's a package for him on offense that they were working for in the spring. He returns kicks. So this is a pretty important player, but there was a lot of talk, a lot of chatter over the last few weeks about what his status was with Tennessee's football team.
Yeah, he's still on the team, I guess. Like, what's going on here?
Well, Josh Heupel talked on Tuesday and gave an update.
I know at some point I'm going to get a question about Boo, so I'm going to address that right now. Boo is a part of our team here. There's some things that he's got to accomplish to get back on the field with us. Don't have a set timeline on that. Our leadership council has been a part of those things, those discussions with me and with Boo. I'm proud of what they've done. They care and love Boo, and want him to be his best too, and through this, I think Boo sees that as well. And at the end of the day, us collectively continuing to grow here through the course of training camp. I will be the one that will take questions on Boo, and that's today and here throughout the beginning part of training camp as well. But proud of how our team has handled those things, and ultimately we'll handle those things internally. I'm not going to get into details on everything. So excited to roll. You guys are going to get a chance to hear from some of our staff and players today, but everybody in the building's ready to go for tomorrow.
But don't ask them about Boo Carter. Only ask me about Boo Carter.
So this is a piece of good news for Tennessee fans, right? Because this is
yes,
losing your best defensive back who's young and got a ton would be
their best defensive back is Jermod McCoy. There's another piece of news about him. We'll get to that in a second. But
yeah. After what they went through with Nico, I don't think losing good players is something that I would have like a stomach for if I were a Tennessee fan.
Definitely not. And so here's the situation with Boo Carter. Rumors of not coming to workouts, which, they used to be quote unquote voluntary workouts in the summer because they had to pretend that these guys weren't required to be there. They're not pretending anymore because they pay them now. So you're supposed to be there. And so that's been an issue. And it's generally been, not a great situation. Boo Carter just hired a new agent. He is, if you followed the NBA draft at all this year, Ari, do you remember Ace Bailey, the guy who played at Rutgers?
I do.
He wouldn't work out for any teams. So Ace Bailey is a long time, way back, since they were 3 or 4 years old, friend of Boo Carter's. Boo Carter has hired Ace Bailey's agent. So the pristine advice that Ace Bailey got during the draft process, where he didn't work out for any teams, and it wound up getting him picked by Utah, where he didn't want to go. Maybe that's the advice we're dealing with at this point.
Yeah, the not working out thing is certainly a play. It's a bold strategy, Cotton.
See how it works out for him.
But the reason why I said Boo Carter was the best defensive back on Tennessee's team is because McCoy obviously has some injury concern, right? And he
tore his ACL in January. Yes,
I don't know if Tennessee would be in the best possible place in terms of talent. They got a really good defense, man. And their secondary, I think, is the thin part, right? Losing him would be a pretty big blow.
Yeah, and the thing is, you had plans for Boo Carter, and so you want all of that to work out. And I think Tennessee people, they've been through enough this offseason in terms of things not working out. So
it is like a good thought exercise, and this is not new to college football now. Obviously, money changes things a little bit, but if you have somebody who has shortcomings or does things that are not coming to an off-season workout, what is the way to handle it as a coach? you love them? Do you bring them in? Do you keep them while also benefiting from their presence? Do you have a no tolerance policy and allow them to go or force them out because you want to set an example that no one's above the team? It's always a very interesting dynamic of like, how is Josh Heupel, and like what did Tennessee fans want? They want to keep the good player, right?
Well, yes. And I think how you handle it depends on your leverage. Like Nick Saban back in the day when they were 47 deep at every position, he just kicked the guy off the team. Didn't matter.
And Tennessee has not a lot of leverage in this scenario, no?
Not a ton, because they do need good players. So after Heupel made that initial announcement, our guy Brent Hubbs from VolQuest asked a follow-up question.
Josh, how much dialogue over this month have you had with Boo, and kind of what's your policy with players not being around for, quote, summer volunteer workouts? Do you have a set policy on if they go work out with their trainer or somebody else? How does that work?
Yeah, and end of the day, it's a requirement to be here, be a part of what we're doing. You know, there's a lot of information out in the world. Some of it's correct, some of it's not. I'm not going to address everything. You know, over the last week, you know, we're disappointed with how some things were handled. At the end of the day, you have a conversation. What does it look like moving forward? And that's all parties. That's, you know, our leadership council, Boo, and our staff. And so it's not about what yesterday was. It's about today. And we'll see as we continue to progress where that leads us.
Translation, he's still in the doghouse. He's not guaranteed to be on the field. There may be some disciplinary action yet to come. We'll see. Tennessee opens with Syracuse in Atlanta. So it's not like they just have a team they can absolutely roll over to start with. Like they're going to have to try to win this game.
Can I try to translate that?
Yeah.
He's still on the team. He's got some disciplinary action to work through. We need him. He'll be on the field against Syracuse.
Oh, okay. That's it. You think it'll be on the field against Syracuse?
Okay. I mean, I don't know. Like, what do you think? I think
you're probably right about that.
Yeah.
Because it's what we were talking about, where you're limited by your own leverage, and I don't think Josh Heupel has a ton of leverage. Although there's one other way to look at this, and the other way you can look at this, and I'd be curious to hear how Tennessee fans feel about this, because it's kind of an admission of sorts if you decide to go this direction, and I don't think they're going this direction based on what Josh Heupel has said. So you could say, well, we don't know how this year's going to go anyway. The whole Nico thing threw us for a loop. We're not sure how good we're going to be, but I can set a tone here. And this is the 1 year where they're going to forgive me if we're not great. So if we're 7-5 or 8-4, I can just blame all that on Nico.
Yeah.
So if I want to set a tone and kick somebody off the team, now's the time.
Yeah, the balance of power here is really interesting, because like that on one hand is maybe the right way to think about it, or the other side of that coin, because there's always two sides, right? Is if I lose another good player and our defense is weak because of it, then this season completely bottoms out.
Right.
You know, because you don't want to be Oklahoma from last year either. Like, I mean, I think there's a limit too of like being forgived, right? Like
this is Tennessee's stronger side of the ball. Let's remember that. We don't know what their offense is going to be. But
the secondary, and correct me if I'm wrong, you know, River, pop up here if you think I'm wrong, but their secondary is their number one concern on defense, right? I don't know. I think so.
If there's a weak link, that would be it, especially with McCoy's injury update and status and all that. So
right, but they don't really have a lot of weaknesses on defense, and that's
if you had to choose the weak link.
But I want to keep River up here because this is a good person to ask. And we have a resident Tennessee fan on the show. But your question, Andy, was interesting because I want to tap into the Tennessee fan brain for a second, because we had spent a lot of time talking about Nico and being bought into the team and loving Tennessee and how important it was to be a Vol for life. Okay. Boo Carter's behavior is not consistent with loving Tennessee and putting the team before yourself. Right. So is the fan base less likely to want to throw him some extra slack given what they already went through today, or are they in we need all the good players that we can get mode? Like I have a hard time like reading a fan base. You tell me how you feel about it.
I think the general consensus is they know they need him on the team. They want him on the team. He will perform well, but they're kind of extending him an olive branch, I would say. It's like, okay, this happened. We don't really know what happened, but we're willing to forgive you if you produce this year and that. But I mean, he's on thin ice. Tennessee fans will support him regardless, as long as he's an Orange. But
See, I think here's where Heupel has some grace.
mm-hmm.
So he can stretch this out. He can say, hey, look, here are the conditions that you need to meet, and we'll get you on the field by the Syracuse game.
Mm-hmm.
If you do this and you're a good citizen and do everything we ask of you, then you're back in good standing. Everything's going to be fine. And then you can tack on. But if you screw up even a little bit, you're done, because they're not going to fire me if we go 6-6 this season.
I think it's more how he gels with the team. If the team wants him on, then that's it. If the team wants him, the fans want him.
Heupel made that clear that he went with the leadership committee, and there, if you watch the rest of the press conference, he got a question about how often he refers to the leadership committee, asked their input on things, and he basically said, I do, but not all the time. This is one where it seems like he's very explicitly asking for the players' input on this situation. And I think that's probably, in this case, if you feel like you got good, strong leadership, you kind of follow what they say.
Yeah, the question that I always have in situations like this is, if this was a second string or third string player, how would you act? And should you be on the, and should a coach act the same always, or do you side with the coach of like, they've got a job to do, they've got to win, and if you're better at football, you get more slack? Like how does that?
100%. If you're better at football, you get more slack. Every coach, if they're being honest, will tell you that. I remember Urban Meyer saying that straight up when he coached Florida.
Yeah,
like different rule. The rules are different for different players because that's just human nature. And
are rules different for different players in the NFL too?
Yes. Yeah. That's more based on contract status. And now in the NFL, if you can get out of their guaranteed money, you can enforce your rules. But if there's no way out of it, then you're going to have to give them more slack. I mean, look at Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're stuck. So,
and if Deshaun Watson was anybody else,
right,
he might not have even gotten the second chance to begin with, right? Like he might not have even gotten a contract to begin with. And we've seen, I mean, when you bring up the NFL, and that was my fault, you got to start going down a slippery slope. But we've seen people blackballed for the NFL for what I think is far less egregious than sexual assault. So, yeah.
And again, Boo Carter not accused of anything like that. So let's
sure.
We're just trying to.
Right. Yeah, I'm just trying to
explain the leverage of the situation. Here. But Boo Carter's not accused of anything like that. The stuff he's accused of is stuff that in the team dynamic does not go over well.
Yeah, but Boo Carter would land on for his transgressions. Boo Carter would have zero issue finding a new home if it came to that.
Yeah, somebody would pick him up. Yeah. 100%. So it's just a matter of, you're expected to be one of the better players on this team. You're expected to set some sort of example on this team. And so will you do that? And so we'll find out. And I think you're probably right, Ari. I think you translated Heupel correctly, that if all goes well, you're going to see him on the field against Syracuse. And that's probably what everybody in Knoxville would like to see happen.
There's two lanes here, Iron Fist and Grace. And grace is always a path back to the field quickly.
Right.
Iron
Fist, also,
yeah.
Ain't nobody got the roster to rule an Iron Fist anymore.
Yeah. I just feel like you can read a lot based on the coach's temperament, and it seemed like he was soft on.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like soft personally. I just mean like soft on the situation. Like he was.
Yeah. He's not taking a hard line on this. Yeah. It did sound like if a little more crap happens that he might have to, but he's not there yet. But part of this also could be elsewhere in the secondary. Josh Heupel gave an update on Jermod McCoy, their star cornerback.
as Jermon McCoy makes his way back, have you noticed that he's doing anything special or different to make up for the fact that he is limited coming back from that injury? And is there a timetable?
No timetable on him. There's benchmark things that he's got to accomplish within our training room to move on to the next phase of it. He's handled it really well, from the very beginning, just his mindset and how he's approached every single day. He's done a really good job throughout the course of the summer. Periodically you can see his drills, movement, explosive type drills that he's doing change, based on his rehab protocol, and he's handled it extremely well. And, as we go through training camp, there will be a progression. How his body responds to some of those things will kind of dictate the time period of when he's available for us.
So that's an ACL tear in January, and you're hoping for a comeback. And again, you don't want to put Jermon McCoy on the field too soon. You don't want to risk re-injury. That could be just devastating for the team and for him. So, if we're looking at Tennessee's schedule, Ari, I would imagine they would hope to have him back by Georgia at the earliest. Georgia is their week 3 game. But if they can't, I mean, you let him heal as long as you feel like he needs to, and then maybe you get him for the back half of the season.
Yeah, I mean, what's the benchmark recovery time for ACLs now? Isn't it 6 months?
No, it's
still longer than that.
It's still longer than that. Very famously, Adrian Peterson came back from an ACL tear when he was in the NFL. I want to say in 6 to 7 months, but it's still 9 months to a year is usually what you're talking about. Now,
I thought that the ACL surgeries and the recovery of it has had some pretty big advancements the last few years.
It has. It used to be a career ender.
Yeah.
Or it used to be a year or two, minimum. It's not like that anymore, but there's still a fairly significant recovery time. So, this is one where I'm sure they're being as careful as humanly possible. So that's also probably feeding into whatever you do with Boo Carter, because obviously you're dealing with depth in the secondary, and not same position, but you're still dealing with depth in the secondary. So we will find out, Ari, what happens next with the Vols, but that is Josh Heupel in an interesting situation, and he keeps getting put in interesting situations this offseason. I'm sure he, more than anybody else, just wishes they could start playing games.
Yeah, I mean, he's done such a good job at Tennessee since he started, and I kind of feel remorse for some of the shit that he's been dealt. I don't know. It's a tough situation, and Tennessee, felt like they're on the right track, and they just keep getting some bad news. And
meanwhile, the line keeps moving toward Tennessee in that Syracuse-Tennessee game. I think they were 12.5-point favorites, and now 14.5-point favorites. So, look, if they can get through that,
3 scores,
East Tennessee State shouldn't be a problem. Then we'll see when the Bulldogs come to Neyland Stadium, September 13th, very early in the season.